We can now use actually that same catechism, or a very similar catechism, and relate it to the crisis that has hit the society of Pius X. There's stages. Now, when we study the 4 marks, like I say, we would just repeat, there's the marks are signs of something else that come from something else. So light, smoke, and heat are signs or marks of fire. So when you see those signs, you know there's fire. If there's fire, it will produce these signs. So when we say that the Catholic Church has 4 marks or 4 signs, we mean that these signs are necessary effects or necessary properties of the Catholic Church. Wherever the Catholic Church is, it must be one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. These are the 4 signs of the Catholic Church, or the 4 marks of the Catholic Church. And when you don't have those 4 marks, well, then there's the absence of the Church. So, but the 4 marks are there in the Church. And also they're supposed to be in every Catholic. They're in every individual. We are members of the Church ourselves. So the 4 marks are also supposed to be in us as individuals, not only in the Church as a whole. And we find that these 4 marks, the reason for them is because it comes from God. So there's 4 marks. 1, the Church is one. Then the Church is holy. And the Church is Catholic. And the Church is apostolic. There's an order to these marks. The Church is one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. But why is the Church one? Why is the Church holy? Why is the Church Catholic? And why is the Church apostolic? Where does the Church come from? It's a divinely instituted Church. For some reason, this part is always missing from our catechisms. We memorize the 4 marks of the Church, but we don't know why there's 4 marks of the Church. We just know there's 4 marks. So what is it? The Church is a divinely instituted, mystical body of Christ. It is from God. So if the Church is from God, it must have 4 divine characteristics, which are going to be wherever God is. There are certain things, when God operates in the world, you're going to find one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. Because these are characteristics of God's operation in the world. So, to say simply, first of all, why is the Church one? Because God is one. So we say God is one, therefore the Church is one. God is holy, and therefore the Church must be holy. God is Catholic, therefore the Church must be Catholic. And God is apostolic, therefore the Church must be apostolic. So the reason why we have these 4 marks is because that's wherever God is, there must be these 4 things. Minimal, absolute minimal. Obviously there will be infinite numbers of perfections, but we would say the absolute bare minimum is one, holy, Catholic, apostolic. And so, first of all, the Church is one because God is one. Now there is a hierarchy of these virtues, of these marks, and that is, 1 is the most important, and apostolic, we could say, is the least important. And so there is a hierarchy of these marks. Although there are 4 essential, there are 4 important, there's still a hierarchy. 1 being most, Catholic, apostolic being least. And God is one, that's the first thing. And also when we look at these marks, they're built on each other. In other words, God is one. There's only one God. Therefore, there must be only one church. There cannot be 2 churches because there's not 2 gods. One God equals one church. One God equals one doctrine. One God equals one set of sacraments. So what do we mean when we say the church is one? It is one faith, one set of sacraments, one sacrifice, united under one head. Well, the 4 ways in which the church is one. So the church is unified. Now this unity, what does it do? It produces holiness. This unity and holiness together, what do? They're Catholic. This unity, this holiness and Catholicity, what does it do? It is apostolic. So you look at the marks as building on each other. First 1, which makes holy. Then 1 and holy, which makes Catholic. And then 1 holy and Catholic, which is to be apostolic. And so that the first mark of the Church is that the Church is one. And this is the one faith. It's the most important mark. When you take away that mark, everything is dead. If you have this mark, the other things can come back. You take away that mark, the others cannot come back. You trim a tree, the branches can grow back. But if you remove the roots and kill the tree, nothing can grow back. So that we can Catholicity, weak in apostolicity, but as long as you've still got the unity, it can grow back. But if you take away the unity, the holiness and Catholicity and apostolicity are dead, because they're built on it. So the most important of these 4 marks is unity. The God is one. That's the most important thing about God. He is only one God, and He is one in Himself. The 3 persons are in one God. And the 2 processions are in one God. The 5 notions, the 4 relations, the 3 relations, they're all in one God. And so this unity of God is everything about God. So this unity must be in His faith. So we have unity of faith, unity of sacrifice, familiar unities we should all know from our catechism, the unity of the sacraments, and then the under the Pope, under one head. So the faith is one. And then this faith that is one, what does it do? It makes us holy. If we frequent the sacraments, if we offer the sacrifice, if we believe the faith, and we're truly in it under the Pope, then there's going to be holiness. And what does holiness mean? Holiness means set apart for God. The meaning of holy is set apart for God. We'll just give a simple definition of each of these things. Holy means set apart for God. And this holiness is something necessary specifically for men. It's especially something related to men. Because the angels, they are pure spirits. So when an angel believes God, his whole mind is in God. When an angel loves God, his whole heart is in God. Done. But for human beings, we have a body, and we have all these parts. We have the flesh, we have clothing, we have food, we have shelter, we have the passions. We have so many elements connected with our body. And therefore, there must be a special part of a human church. A church designed for men must have a holy part. That is, there must be, amongst human beings, we find this. We find persons, places, things, and times. Human beings can't be without person, place, thing, and time. The Catholic Church, the Church of God, must have holiness. There must be holy persons. There must be holy places. There must be holy things. And there must be holy times. The Catholic Church, whatever church is founded by God, must have these things. Holy persons, holy places, holy things, holy times. The holy person, not every man is a holy person. The priest is a holy person. The holy places, the church is a holy place. The holy things, the chalice is a holy thing. And the holy times, the Sunday is a holy time. There must be special time set apart for God. Also, God made not only the holy things, but in fact He made all things to be used for Him. So we are to take something of the whole world and give it to God. That's why St. Ambrose speaks about the tithing. The tithing. He says we must tithe. We must give a 10th part of our food, a 10th part of our clothing, a 10th part of our time, and a 10th part of our shelter to God and to the poor. We have to do this in order to show our worship of God. God has made all things for Himself. Now the holiness becomes Catholic. Why? Because God has made all things for Himself. God made all things. Catholic means universal. God made all things for Himself. So the Catholic